The topic of my talk is whether railways will play an important role in the transport system in the future, or if they only had an important role in the past. I get often questions today whether we will need railways in the future. People say we will have electrified and autonomous cars. They can replace railways. Most of you will have heard about development of the Hyperloop system, mainly in California, but also in many other places in the world. Then there are maglev systems, not so many in operation, but they have been around for 30 years now. So will they replace the railway system or not? One thing is for sure, if we only invest in individual car traffic in the future, autonomous, electrified cars, the future of traffic would look like this, because a car is still a car, even if it is driven autonomously, electrically. You will get rid of emissions, pollution, but you will not get rid of congestion. Here, the railway system has an unique advantage. I think there's no other transport mode with the same transport capacity as railway systems have. If you compare a metro system in a city, with one track you can transport roughly 36,000 persons per hour, and to perform the same transport capacity on roads you need about 18 lanes to transport as many people. So yeah, in big cities, I think we need railway systems in the future. And you can see this around the world, everywhere, especially in the mega cities you have in countries like China, India, but also in many other Asian countries. Jakarta, I've been to Jakarta, it's a terrible traffic situation. But here I have just one example from Shanghai, where they opened the first metro line only in 1995, so it's just about 20 years ago. In 2010, they already had 420 kilometers of metro lines, and the planning is up to 2020, so in 2 years, 2.5 years, they want to have 877 kilometers of metro lines in the city. And you can look at many other cities, New Delhi, Mumbai, everywhere metro systems pop up, because people have detected it's the only way to move the vast amount of people that have to be moved. But also in freight traffic, I think railways have a task even in the future. Today's trains, if we look at Sweden, for example, or Europe, many countries in Europe are the same. One train can transport about 2,000 tons of goods. Train lengths today are about 600 meters, 22.5 tons axle load we have, and the speed is 100 kilometers per hour. Up to 2050, we think you could transport 5 times as much goods in one train. If you increase train length to 1,700 meters, increase the axle load, that means the mass you have on each axle, to 30 tons, and somewhat increase the speed, but that is not important for the train weight. So then with one train you can transport 5 times as much as you typically do today, and this is absolutely not rocket science. In other countries we are there basically today. If you go to the US or Australia, then we have this. One of the tricky things in Europe today is the train length, because the signaling systems are not adapted to that. You have very tight traffic, mixed traffic with passenger trains and freight trains. So, but this is also a very efficient means of transport. And then you have the technical properties of the railway system, the low friction because of the steel contact between wheel and rail. And then you have the trains, which makes a long freight train aerodynamically very efficient. So these advantages will remain even if we start platooning with trucks on highways. There will still be a larger distance between trucks than between freight wagons in a freight train. Another segment where railways, to our opinion, has an important role today, but also in the future, is high-speed traffic. You can see here statistics from the International Railway Union, the development of the amount of high-speed lines in the world throughout the last 30, 40 years. And you can see only in the last 10 years, today, this is from 2015, today we are somewhere here, we have almost 30,000 kilometers of high-speed railways in the world, and just 10 years ago we had 7,000 kilometers. A lot of this is in China. China has invested a lot, has nowadays around 20,000 kilometers of high-speed railways, but it's not only China, it's other countries. And if you look a little bit ahead into the future, then it will be many countries, not only the traditional high-speed railway countries like France, Japan, Germany, China, but you can see in many countries, especially in the densely populated countries in Asia, there are plans, and partly they start building today new high-speed lines that will grow to networks. You can look to India, you can look to Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia. All these countries invest in high-speed railway lines. The problem I see today with railway traffic is that it is quite complex. I hear from people that are not so used to go by railway that they are a little bit afraid of taking a train. How do I manage all these different moments of a travel? First, you have to take yourself to a station, take a bus, tram, or whatever. This is one task. Then you are in a station, you have to orientate yourself. Where will my train leave? From which platform? Have to buy a ticket, and we all know, even in our own country, but as soon as you come to another country, to buy a train ticket is not the easiest thing to do. But when you have managed this, you go to your platform, have to find where is the coach I should sit in, and so on. You know, you might need to change train also, and then you have the last mile transport with whatever, bus, taxi or so. So people are sometimes afraid of taking trains. It's much easier to take the car standing in front of your house, going somewhere. But we think with possibilities digitalization gives, that we can help people much more in the future. Everyone has a smartphone already today, so we can guide people through journeys much, much more than today. For example, you should be able to buy a from door-to-door ticket. You should not need 3, 4 different tickets when you travel by train. You should get the information directly to your telephone from where the train leaves and if there are any delays and so on. So I think their modern technique gives a lot of possibilities to make traveling with train much more convenient than today. To show you that also in the railways there are some really innovative concepts. This is a concept study from Siemens, a large rolling stock manufacturer. They are thinking of some autonomous units which you can use on demand. Call them when you need such a unit, then you call it with your mobile phone and it comes and transports you to another place fully autonomously, no driver, no driver's cabin and so on. But as you see here, it is said this is for the low density sector, and that shows again, I think this is a very innovative concept, but it cannot provide similar transport capacity as you have with long trains, long metro trains, or long high-speed trains, because small units running autonomously is a good possibility when the amount of travelers is not as high, but the capacity of such a system is lower. Here is just an artist impression, also from Siemens, on such a train. Could be furnitured in many different ways for small conferences, for just leisure, for whatever. The guys who are dealing with this pre-study are even thinking of that you should be able to move these units from railway to road, so that you don't even need to change. You can have such a unit running on a road and then you move it to the railway system. I don't know whether this is the future, but there are ideas like this also in the railway system. Another thing I want to mention is there is a really large research program in Europe that has started 2 years ago, where almost 1 billion euros is invested throughout 6 years, has started about 1 year ago and will last for 6 years. And that involves basically all stakeholders in the railway system, industry, authorities, universities. So a lot of money is invested also within the EU to further develop the railway system, make it fit for future transport tasks. There are also very ambitious goals defined in that program. 50% reduction of life cycle costs is written here. 100% capacity increase, 50% increase in reliability and punctuality, which we, especially in Sweden, often still feel is a big problem in the railway system today. So that already brings me actually to my last slide. The answer to the question in the beginning from me is yes, I believe that railways have a very important role to play also in the transport system in the future. It's a very efficient mode of transport, and there is still a lot of development potential. I mentioned the guided travel, but also from the technical point of view, signaling systems of the future will look completely different. We will also have autonomous trains. It's actually much easier to drive autonomously on the railway because you're guided. You have less degrees of freedom than on the road. So it's, from the technical point of view, much easier. It will still be more environmentally friendly than other modes of transport, even though they improve a lot today, as we all know. And there are some segments where railways just are so efficient that they will be used in the future. It's local and regional transport in and around cities, metro systems, commuter train systems, high-speed traffic in relations up to about 1,000 kilometers. In China today, the relation Beijing-Shanghai is traveled with 350 kilometers per hour. This is 1,300 kilometers, takes less than 5 hours, 4.5 hours, and is really still competitive against flight traffic. And long distance freight traffic on railways will also be a segment which is very efficient type of transport made for railway transport. Okay, that was all. Thank you.